FM. We're back from the break. Barrister Eze Eluchere, are you still with us, sir?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience, Barrister Eze Eluchere. Continuing with the conversation, the Minister of Defense had actually told us that the Sahel region is going through its own red volatility. In fact, he said that he considered it a red zone. He said the Nigerian territory and the Nigerian border is extremely porous. When he was Minister of Defense at the time, he had reiterated on several occasions that the federal government needed to enhance the closure of the Nigerian border. That it's just an easy throw for you to cross into Nigeria from Niger, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Mali, and all of these countries. And currently, these countries are going through their own insecurity. In fact, he says these guys in the Tuareg region are the one coming to take, hibernate and harbinger within Nigeria. The United States government has said we have about more than 36 terrorist organizations in Nigeria, and it's worrisome, Barrister, because these guys are well machinated. They have serious, sophisticated weapons, and it's quite discouraging. But however, Barrister, in Mali, their defense minister was recently murdered. Their own defense minister in Mali was murdered. And it brings to the point of concern that is there a means of these guys to ensure that we do not have an indigenous government? There are talks that what they want to do is to have access to all installations. It's about a world power domination using religion, but the idea is not religion, it's about domination. Can you give us an explanation into this?
Thank you very much. I think the Minister of Defense is not telling the truth when he says when he talks about the Sahel region. We should also remember that countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, and Benin Republic are on the same geographical level with Nigeria.
Yeah,
they are also sub-Sahel countries, and they are able to defend their borders. So that excuse by the Minister of Defense is nonsensical. Likewise, they claim that in Libya, something happened in Libya 10, 15 years ago. That's why everywhere it's flooded with terrorists. It's not true. None of those countries went all the way to bring in terrorists into their countries. You won't hear the Ghanaian leaders or the Beninois or Togolese or Cote d'Ivoire leaders saying that somebody went to bring in terrorists from the other countries to their country. That's what happened in Nigeria's case. So they should stop telling us all these stories. The next thing we hear from these so-called security chiefs, they'll tell you of kinetic and non-kinetic, just speaking crap grammar that is neither here nor there. Rather than advance people that they're either complicit or they're not even effective. That's the two things. And it's more likely that they're complicit. Because when you face the realities of what they've been doing, I mean, how these terrorists strike, either there's a stand down of the troops, or that the troops allow them to go through, or that the troops are not even there until a few minutes after the killings have taken place. There's always one story or the other. So, Minister of Defense, please don't even come and tell Nigerians stories. The billions of naira that we allocate to the military is not what happens in other Sahel countries. It's more than what happens in Ghana, Togo, Benin combined. Yet they're able to defend their own territories. And here we are telling stories. In Nigeria, we are not able to give our soldiers enough rations. Those who are fighting and defending us in the battlefield. We see their rations, and then it is the generals who are in Abuja who drive around in bulletproof cars and have mansions in Dubai and the US that will come and start telling us of a Sahel region and all that stuff. That's not true. There is lack of political will. There is even lack of intel to address this issue. For goodness sake, how is it possible that 200-300 terrorists can gather in a location, plot an attack, and effect the attack? And when this is a country that has a DSS, we have a military intelligence agency, we have all kinds of police and stuff, and they're not able to locate where 300 plus terrorists gather, and somebody is telling us of Sahel region. They should keep quiet. He doesn't know what to say. Terrorists gather, and somebody is telling us of Sahel region. They should keep quiet. He doesn't know what to say. Thank you.
All right, Barrister, very quickly before I say something, because this is something that has been kept quiet. We had heard amongst opposition parties, some senators who did not get the return ticket into the All Progressives Congress for their re-election during the primary, a lot of them right now debunked, and those who went into another political party or those who decided to stay seem no longer to be part of promoting the party. Some of them are seriously disenfranchised, and right now they are speaking out. So today at the Senate, there was drama because APC senators were questioning Tinubu's loans to unpaid contractors. There was a heated confrontation during a closed-door session of the Senate today. Senator Kawu Somaila, representing Kano South, clashed with the Senate leadership over federal loans, abandoned projects, and alleged political deals. Trouble started when Somaila criticized the state of project execution across the country, which we also in last year when a report was given by the then Minister of Economy, yes, at the time, before he was now replaced with Taiwo Oyedele, Mr. Wale Edu. At the time, he was Minister of Economy. And right at that particular point in time, we also knew that during the audit session of most of those ministries, departments, and agencies, a lot of them confirmed that they had proposals, all right? And despite approval of those proposals, they were barely giving up to 2% of the fund needed to execute projects. So this lawmaker who was shouting today said that they did not get their projects concluded and some of the contractors left the project site, which will obviously halt or discourage anyone from having to campaign or support the APC in the next electoral cycle. And in that regard, the Senate President and the Senate leader, that is Godswill Akpabio and Okpeyemi Bamidele, said he was a betrayer of the APC as a political party. He said he knows that the contractors have been given their monies. In fact, for Kawu Somaila, money had been designated to him, about 90 billion naira ecological contract in Kano for Somaila. And they stated that following the death of former Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, the presidency explicitly directed the Senate leadership to hand the chairmanship of the lucrative Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream over to him. But Senator Kawu refused to back down and said he would not be silenced. Now there are talks that some of these APC senators and lawmakers who did not win their primaries are now speaking up because they felt supporting or defecting to the APC would enable them. But now that they did not win their primaries, they decide to supposedly embarrass the APC. Do you think that's what it is?
Well, thank you very much. I think Nigerians will continue to pray for all these 70 legislators who did not get their ticket in the APC, because they will actually come and tell us the truth now. Because there are a lot of criminality, a lot of stealing, broad daylight robbery has been happening under this Bola Tinubu regime in the name of governance. It's a shame that the Senate leader and Akpabio were busy trying to blackmail Senator Somaila, because it was pure blackmail, and they were using public funds as a tool for blackmail. So that you made him chairman of a lucrative Senate Committee on Downstream. You gave him 90 billion naira for ecological funds. This is Nigerian public funds. That is what the Senate President and the Senate leader had the temerity to try to blackmail a senator who is now spewing the beans. Gosh, I will keep on praying for more of this to happen. As I tell people, look, no matter what Mr. Tinubu is doing, no matter what he thinks he will do, hopefully Mr. Tinubu will not be on the ballot for next elections. By 2027, he will not be on the ballot. Things will happen that will keep these characters away from the ballot. Because if they are there, Nigeria will continue to go down the drain. And if you are praying for Nigeria, that Nigeria should rise, that means we are indirectly or directly praying also for these criminal elements who are willing to go to blazes. They will be wiped out. So we thank God for people like Senator Somaila, and we pray that more of them will come. I'm still looking forward to what Senator Ned Omoko will say. I'm still looking forward to what several of those who were thrown out, who were thrown under the bus, will say. And by the time they really speak the truth, we will now see how this government has robbed Nigeria. How this thieving government that has borrowed billions, that is mortgaging Nigerians' future for self-aggrandizement, to put into their pocket, how they have misruled this country. So yes, let more of this will happen. And I pray that, I hope they don't descend to start eliminating these senators, because they will talk. Because once you jilted, once you've cheated on somebody, he has nothing else than to talk. Because Senator Somaila would have realized that if he goes back to Kano, he's not safe. So he's better off telling the truth of what happened to the billion that should have developed Kanu. If whatever, I think people will not be able to forgive him if he's actually been truthful. But for people like Akpabio and Bamidele, they can keep on defending him until the day comes when a judge will say enough is enough. Thank you very much.
Barrister Osborne Ubong Okod, a political aide to Prince Godwin Ntukude, the political advisor to Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umo Eno, has been relieved of his duties for criticizing President Bola Tinubu on social media. This development comes amid rising national concerns about the security situation in the country, further highlighted by the recent abduction of the pupils and teachers in Oyo State. Not just in Oyo State, even in the southeast too. Despite military presence, we're hearing of kidnapping and attacks by these terrorists, not just in the southeast as well. In the north, Kwara State right now seems to be the haven. Also Kebbi in Ingoshe as well. They have 416 of abducted victims with them. And in one of the communities very recently, I think Kwara as well, they still have about 176 of them who were kidnapped. About 100 of them are being converted to Islam. A graduation ceremony is being planned for them, and pockets of kidnapping across the state. In some instances, some have not gotten to the media to be reported or amplified. So far, Governor Eno decided to sack him for criticizing the government. Some of the celebrities who have been calling the government of the day to please do their job are saying that the reason they cannot talk is because they will be silenced or they'll be criticized by the government of the day. The government of the day's defense is that insecurity did not start now. It started way before now, and that it's not magic for Bola Tinubu to completely eliminate these guys in 3 years. Now, Barrister, in regards to that, talks about the political candidates and some of them being part of this, or some of them who may not be able to do more on this. I need you to respond to this before I give this information about 90 million naira, being, disbursed in the ADC by Atiku and Peter Obi before leaving, paying almost 1 billion naira before he left the ADC to the NDC, paying his own quota financial responsibility in the ADC before he left. Very quickly, please respond to this.
Yeah, thank you very much. I see, with regards to what the governor did in Cross River State, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
In Akwa Ibom, sorry. In Akwa Ibom.
In Akwa Ibom, sorry, yes. I really pity Mr. Tinubu, because the reality is this. He says about 31 or 32 governors have defected. The fact is, more than 28 of those governors are not even with him. It is the share of either EFCC or DSS. So when you have so many people around you and you are not even sure of your shadow, how will you sleep at night? So they can keep on penalizing those who speak out, but it will only make sure that the other ones go underground. So even his cook.
Ready? Master relevant AI tools. This offer dies tonight AI certificate.
Speak out, but it will only make sure that the other ones go underground. So even his cook, his driver, his maid, the people that prepare his bed, he cannot be sure of them. That's why even when you have a poll, when you have an election whether it's Body Lawn or in Aso Rock, the man will still lose. So all these gimmicks of sacking people for saying the truth or expressing their mind will only push people's opinion further deeper underground, and it will only create fear for those who want to bury the truth. The fact is that no Nigerian is happy with what is going on. No Nigerian is happy with this Bola Tinubu regime. No Nigerian is happy with what this government is doing. So if you know you're not doing well, why don't you, for goodness sake, go and sleep, go and rest with your grandchildren? That is where old men belong. I'm not coming to continue to pollute the public space with your misgovernance, with your illegality. So it's so sad. But I think what happened in Cross River is just a tip of the iceberg. Many commissioners who follow their governors to join the APC, or even the ministers, or even, are they really there? Or they are there to avoid the consequences of not being with the APC? So if they are just there to avoid consequences, then only God knows what they'll be doing at night. So I keep on saying, Mr. Tinubu, I hope and I believe, truly believe, that at the right time, he will not be on the ballot for the elections come 2027. Thank you very much.
I don't know how true that will be, or how realistic that will be.
That's my opinion. But what I can assure you is this: the procedures to keep him away from being on the ballot is already in process. It is already in process and will be manifesting in due course. Some of them are local, some are international, but the procedures are already in process. Thank you.
After the about how many $1 million that was paid to the American government, do you think that would work?
Oh, the U.S. government is transactional. If you like, let him pay $20 million. Let him make it $1 billion. I mean, there will be the push factor. The evangelical, the rational people in America will say, look, enough is enough. And it's already beginning. Because there is public discourse for the need to arrest key officials of this government and charge them for international crimes. So, and then just yesterday, the FBI and the Drug Enforcement Agency were supposed to release the files from Mr. Bola Tinubu. Yes. So those ones, the process is to ensure that Bola Tinubu is not on the ballot for 2027 is already in process. So he can be deceiving himself with his INEC chairman, with his police chiefs, and all the DSS and whatever he has. At the nick of time, truth will manifest. Thank you very much.
President Bola Tinubu has been collaborating with the U.S. ever since this whole situation. In fact, there are talks by some persons in the north that he was the one who invited the U.S. to supposedly help in seeing how they could eliminate these guys terrorizing the country. There are also talks that he's an asset, of the U.S. or the FBI. So if someone is an asset, if someone is working and collaborating with the U.S., how do you think that any form of machination would work to ensure that he doesn't return from these international communities?
No, the U.S. knows. They're not that. They know they use you when you're not saying they use you, and when you become enough worry, they dump you. It's the normal American process. And so that is not an issue.
What if Bola Tinubu acquiesces to any condition? For example, Allwells, a military base established, collaborates and cooperates with them, all for them to support his presidency in 2027. And like you said, the U.S. is a transactional kind of government. Don't you think that none of whatever is going on is going to affect anything here?
No, the fact is, it's not in a position to say no to anything America wants. So when they say they have asked him, it's not true. At times the attacks are made, the bombs are already on the head before they notify him. Because if you notify Nigerian government in advance, they may likely even despise the terrorists before the bombs get there. In the last attack that happened, the person that was killed by the U.S. was a terrorist that this same Nigerian government claimed to have killed
in 2024.
Good. So the whole idea of the government claiming to have killed him was to remove him from the prying eyes of foreign authorities. But the US still saw through the crap and killed the man. So, when they say they're collaborating with this regime, they are very diplomatic people. They know it is their language. They know how to use it well. Similar to the visit by Mr. Nuhu Ribadu to the White House. There's no big deal in it because he is a man who, if you go through the WikiLeaks report, Nuhu Ribadu was going to the US Embassy to report himself.
Yes.
So, they know these characters. That you come into the White House or there are someone does not mean that they have forgotten who you are. They also know that Mr. Bola Tinubu forfeited $460,000 for drug trafficking and money laundering related offenses in 1993. So they know these people they are dealing with very well, and that at the proper time, America will tell you who they are. They also dealt with Maduro for quite a while, Nicolas Maduro for quite a while.
A, B, C, D.
A, B, C, D.
Let's pretend to be.
Maduro for quite a while, Nicolas Maduro for quite a while. But when they felt it was enough is enough, and they went in and picked him up. So the reality is the reality. Let us not deceive ourselves.
Okay. Well, Barrister, I don't trust the U.S. I don't trust they can do anything, actually. But let's see how it goes.
Okay, no problem.
Yes.
Let us watch and see how it goes.
All right, Barrister, very quickly. As it stands at this moment, remember I said something. In the ADC, for example, there's an issue. One of the members there, Wakili, has said that Atiku is the one destabilizing the party because of his greed and his inability to concede, for the reason for the party to have some form of national relevance, and the key members who could have driven the party at the forefront have left. Atiku is looking for a deputy, ever since he became the presidential candidate of the ADC after the primary that was recently conducted. And there are talks that Atiku could divide the votes or supposedly betray the votes of Peter Obi and Kwankwaso in the north, being the fact that he's a Fulani and obviously the north may want to recognize or stand with him. But in that regard, however, before Peter Obi left the ADC, he never never said anything negative about the principles of the party. He said they had done nothing wrong to him. However, he believed that due to some internal issues within the party, he felt it credible to leave. The ADC has 3 different presidential candidates. There is a Nafiu Bala presidential candidate, there's Dumebi Kachuku, and then there is Atiku Abubakar. And right now, the Federal High Court had postponed their decision indefinitely as to, the 32 state chairman of the party in the ADC. Barrister, normally political party elders and leaders contribute money in these political parties. Atiku did, and Peter Obi also did. We heard he almost, he completed his own payment in the ADC before he left to the NDC, almost $1 billion naira, just like every one of them. And no one has come out to make a statement from the ADC that Peter Obi did indeed contribute his quota financially to enable the party. But there have been serious backlashes, insult, clamor, and saying that Peter Obi is working for Bola Tinubu because he left the coalition. What's your take on this? Because Babachir Lawal said a lot as he was leaving. He insulted Atiku. He called him names and made allegations that Atiku may be a warlord. So, do you think Peter was being too nice? And why was the attack so harsh on Peter and not on Babachir Lawal with the kind of condescending statements he made when he left?
Thank you very much. I think the reality is that Peter B stands alone. It's a class of his own. It's in a politics. This kind of politics on its own. And so you can only expect the system to be against him. So the target of most of these politicians, both in the opposition and in the ruling APC, is the person of Peter B. For nothing more than the fact that Nigerians see him as a change agent. They have gone through his pedigree and see somebody who is worthy of effecting change. But with regards to Atiku Abubakar, Atiku Abubakar began to contest for presidency since 1993. That is 33 years ago. For those who are many Nigerians are not even born today, he contested for presidency with MKO Abiola for the SDP primary. So the reality is that after over 33 years of contesting for presidency, one would have thought that by now, Mr. Atiku would have seen somebody who he can support and be a godfather. But sadly enough, he has continued to play like a spoiler role in most of the opposition politics.
Ready to lead the future of AI and business with a doctorate? Join the doctorate in business administration.
The opposition politics, he has continued to like almost be a spoiler, which is rather sad, because it's a man who some of us, even including myself, I respect very well, because my respect for him started actually when he fought efforts to destroy the vice president. He strikingly fought and contested it by litigation, and he won all the processes when Obasanjo tried to rubbish the hands of the vice president. That's why we have respect for him as a Democrat. But a Democrat should listen to the time. A Democrat should listen to the voice of change. A Democrat should listen to the voice of the people. And at his age, the voice of the people has moved on. The voice of the people now wants a more drastic change, which he, unfortunately, does not represent. So the reality is that in ADC, there have been more and more people coming up and saying, no, what Atiku did was not good. I mean, Babachir Lawal is one, Amechi is another one, and more will come out and tell us the rot that has become of the ADC. And at this stage, one will now ask, why can't Mr. Atiku step aside and enjoy the privileges of an elder statesman? Because like it happened in past elections, after these elections, whether he does not win, if he does not win, Atiku will go back to Dubai. He leaves. He comes in for elections and he goes back. So he should allow Nigerians to decide by themselves and not to keep on dividing the votes of the opposition. This was exactly what happened in the last election, when he and Peter B were on the ballot, and Tinubu, though he didn't even win the majority of the votes, still became president. So I want hope that even sanity will prevail, and Atiku will come out to prevail, and he will also decide at this stage, okay, let me throw in the towel and be an elder statesman and mention my support for the voice of the people, for the people who Nigerians seem to be clamoring for, as the man who represents change. And that's in the question of Mr. Peter B. Simple. Thank you very much.
Barrister Is Atiku, thank you so much actually for extensively giving us your perspective.